Superhero films as we know them today kicked off officially in the year 2002 with Spider-Man. And before you start typing in the comment section, yes, I am aware that X-Men came out in 2000, but that film felt like it was ashamed to be a comic book movie. Spider-Man, on the other hand, knew exactly what it was and it was brilliant. This movie is the reason I have a preference for author-driven comic book films, and it mainly stems from the style that Raimi brought to this movie. But just so you know, there was a Spider-Man film released in 1978, but full disclosure, I hated it. Even as a kid, I thought it looked like crap considering that Superman was also released in that year and still remains an awesome film to watch. That Spider-Man film in comparison feels like it has no budget. It's barely watchable in our current times and there is simply no fun to be had with it. There was a Japanese version that was released in that year as well, and it's much more fun to watch in comparison. In my opinion, to call the 2002 Spider-Man an origin movie is a bit of an insult. Captain America: The First Avenger is an origin movie. The Incredible Hulk is also an origin movie, and Thor can be considered an origin movie. Spider-Man is simply a piece of cinematic history that just happens to tell the story of Peter Parker, who also happens to be Spider-Man. You can change the character to Miles Morales and it will still be what it is. To be more in-depth with my opinion here, the movie essentially achieves three things. The first is telling the story of Peter Parker and his rise to becoming Spider-Man. The second being, it's one of the most exciting action films of the 2000s and is evident in every frame during its action sequences. And the final thing being, it's an incredible character study on human relationships, ambition, love, and malice. It captures the essence of human flaws, while at the same time showing the sympathy implicit in the daily struggle for recognition. And it achieves this through its perfect set of characters through which the movie will be analyzed. So if I will label this movie anything, it is to me the definitive Spider-Man film. And that opinion applies to the first two films in the trilogy. The original Spider-Man films were all brought to life through the artistic vision of Sam Raimi. It is also no secret that these movies work so well due to Sam Raimi's talent behind the camera. And I have no qualms in saying that a different director could not have given us what we had here. If you think this is unrealistic, then please rewatch the Amazing Spider-Man films for proof of this statement. The first thing you will notice is this: there is something that is missing from these pictures. All of Raimi's films have a unique visual style to them that make them iconic and easily rewatchable. And if you are a fan of movies, you can generally tell when you are watching one of his work. I mean, consider the visuals and creativity in Doctor Strange 2 to the first one. Of all the criticism that is heaped on that movie, its visual style is never in doubt. And in Spider-Man, he brought the same visual and artistic flair to the franchise, which has helped to differentiate his films from all the subsequent films that have been released since his last one in 2007. All three films in the original franchise feel uniquely timeless in comparison to something like The Amazing Spider-Man and the Tom Holland series of films. There are scenes in this film that you won't easily forget on first watch, and some scenes in this film are ripped straight from the pages of the comic books. This movie came out 23 years ago, and it still holds up to this very date. Yeah, some of the CGI will be dated, but the sheer amount of stunt work that was done here makes rewatching this a seamless experience. It feels like a comic book that has come to life. This film is one of those lightning in a bottle moments for sure, but the incredible thing is this: Raimi did it again for the sequel, which was an even better movie than this one. Everything about this movie screams classic, from the look to the feel and even the music. It simply feels timeless. Raimi's decision to use an orchestra production for the theme of his movie helped to give its own unique identity to it. Danny Elfman's theme is simply iconic. And it simply does for Spider-Man what John Williams did for Superman with his theme. The moment you hear it, your mind knows exactly what movie is playing. It is also one of those reasons why I think The Amazing Spider-Man was a poor effort. Sony already had a Spider-Man theme, yet they chose to fill that movie with pop music, which has made the film feel dated only 13 years after its release. But more on that later. Now, it's no secret that the cast of a film will often make that movie or break it. And in Spider-Man, I feel the movie works so well because all the major parts are perfectly cast. First off, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker is perfect. The right height, the right look, and you buy him as Peter Parker. The costume is the classic Spider-Man costume, and it doesn't have the expressive tech eyes, but it remains one of my all-time favorite on-screen Spider-Man costumes, and I was so glad to see it back in No Way Home. Yes kids, there is a reason why the grown-ups in the cinemas were cheering so hard when he popped up on screen. Tobey's performance in this entire trilogy is that good. And last I heard, we will have him back for Avengers Doomsday, but more on that later. Throughout this movie, you witness the struggle of Peter Parker. His struggle to balance his life as Spider-Man the superhero and as Peter Parker, the brilliant student who can't seem to catch a break because of all the weight of the responsibilities that he carries. You cheer for him when he stands up for himself for the first time against people like Flash Thompson. Everything leading up to that punch was simply a feel-good moment. And you marvel as he discovers his abilities as Spider-Man. The web-swinging scenes especially is a cool aspect of this film, and I don't know why people don't give him the recognition that he deserves. You also feel for him when he experiences the loss of those he loves, like Uncle Ben in this film, and you understand when he makes decisions that you know are hard, but you understand the necessity for it, like when he walks away from love. The thing the Amazing Spider-Man didn't understand about Peter Parker as a character is the simple fact that he is a nerd. He is not supposed to be cool. When Peter is wearing the mask of Spider-Man, that is when he shows more personality with his witty jokes and quick comebacks. There is a visible striking difference there. Peter Parker is not cool. Spider-Man, on the other hand, is cool. Now, to be fair, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man had the wit and jokes down, which was nice. And he also had that stringy Spider-Man look, which was actually kind of cool. But Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man also has some cheesy jokes, and I laughed at them as a kid. So I guess it fits the mood of his portrayal of Spider-Man. But I digress. Cliff Robertson as Uncle Ben and Rosemary Harris as Aunt May bring some serious human weight to this movie. If anyone was made to deliver a line that has immortalized them in film history, then it's Cliff Robertson. His delivery of "with great power comes great responsibility," which acts as the foundation for Spider-Man's principles, is one of those lines that no future adaptation of Spider-Man can ever do without. Yes, I am aware that the line was written by Stan Lee for the Amazing Fantasy number 15, but it's Cliff Robertson that made it memorable. Martin Sheen delivered a version of it in 2012, and Marissa Tomei also delivers it in Spider-Man No Way Home. But the definitive delivery can only be found in this movie. It's simply not a Spider-Man story unless it's delivered and its intended sacrifice is followed. Until that time, any Spider-Man film is simply a guy in a costume. And yes, Rosemary Harris' Aunt May comes off as a bit too cartoonish and cheesy sometimes. But you know what? I don't mind it. Most of this film feels cartoonish and cheesy. Did you forget the lines that were delivered by Randy Savage in the wrestling fight?
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
The magic of this film series is its ability to put a smile on your face no matter when you watch it. And most of that magic comes from the simple fact that it's cheesy and you love it. Now, every hero is only as good as the villain that he is up against. It's the clear contrast between the two that makes us invested in the story we are being told. In that spirit, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin is perfect. He chews the scenery so much you wonder if he will get stomach indigestion. I simply love the Green Goblin in this film. Yes, the mask made him look like a Power Ranger, but I still liked it as a kid. To me, it was cool, and I hated the fact that they destroyed it in No Way Home. You buy the menace that the Green Goblin brings whenever he's on screen. There is a reason he was made the main villain for Spider-Man No Way Home, because Dafoe is that good in that role. When he is Norman Osborn, he sells the intelligent and ruthless businessman performance well, and when he becomes the Goblin, the split personality that is hellbent on chaos and destruction, you also sense the malice and sheer enjoyment he derives from the chaos that he causes. Dafoe's portrayal of a man tortured by his Jekyll and Hyde personality always makes you feel bad for him no matter what he does as the Green Goblin. If you watched No Way Home, I am sure you experience exactly what I am talking about here. Green Goblin in that film causes the death of Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, and as a fan of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, that scene was heartbreaking. It hits much harder than the death of Uncle Ben in 2002. When Goblin fights Spider-Man in that film, most fans would have understood if the Goblin was killed by Spider-Man because he deserves it, right? Yet when Tobey Maguire stops him and reverts Osborn back to his normal self, you feel his regret at the realization of his crimes, and again, you start to feel bad for him. Now that is incredible acting. It's kind of the same scenario here in Raimi's movie, because after all the horrible atrocities that the Goblin commits, you still feel bad for him when he is impaled by his own glider in that attempt to kill Spider-Man. Oh, spoilers alert. We also have James Franco as Harry Osborn, but he really doesn't get to do much in this movie. His role will evolve over the course of the trilogy, and we will take a closer look at his performance as we tackle each movie. But for his performance of the high school jock with the heart of gold who gets heartbroken in the end, he does well here. However, we cannot talk about this film without J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. There will never be another Jameson as perfectly cast for this role than J.K. Simmons. It's that simple. Watching him on screen is like watching a comic panel come to life. The cigar-smoking, fast-talking sleazebag editor for the Daily Bugle newspaper, who is hell-bent on proving Spider-Man is up to no good. J.K. Simmons steals every scene that he is in. The dialogue he is given, the line delivery, the jokes, it's all simply incredible here. There is a reason they had to bring him back for Far From Home and No Way Home. I don't think anyone else in the industry can do the job that he does in the trilogy and in the subsequent movies. It's like the music act that follows Queen with Freddie Mercury live on stage after they are done performing. All I can say is, good luck. But Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane is one of those characters in this film that most people have a problem with. And for the life of me, I don't get why. She did an excellent job in all three movies and she deserves massive props for that. But let me break it down for you. In the first film, she plays a teenager and young lady. Yes, I am aware she's only here to play the love interest, but it doesn't mean she doesn't have a personality of her own. In this film, she doesn't give Peter the time of day, yet they are friendly. She doesn't make the best choices in men, but there is a reason for that. She comes from a bad home and we are shown that throughout this movie. The thing is, no matter how unique we may think we are all simply products of our environment and our choices reflect that. But life forces you to calm down, and her various hardships after school tempers her a bit. When she is dating Harry Osborn, she is content with him, but everything changes when she is rescued by Spider-Man during the parade. It's completely feasible that a girl becomes obsessed with a superhero that saved her life. That entire moment is very high stressed and those moments tend to bond people on a deeper level. There is a reason why soldiers after surviving wars and gunfights become bonded on a closer level, as is the shared experience that makes it so. So yeah, she kisses Spider-Man upside down because he had saved her twice at that point and she is infatuated. And I'll also note to you that the relationship with Harry was not a sure thing, as Norman Osborn never thought that she was good enough for his son. And he makes that clear during the birthday party for Peter, and everybody hears this. You can say that relationship died there because throughout the film, you are shown that Harry has no spine to stand up to his father. It's only after that moment in the movie that she begins to discover that she has more in common with Peter Parker than Harry Osborn, and she begins to follow her instincts. It's Peter that she falls in love with by the end of this film, not Spider-Man, but Peter. This is also the reason why she leaves Harry at the end of this movie. Harry may be wealthy, but it's Peter that she wants to spend her life with. She finally confesses her love for him and kisses him, but unfortunately, Peter, after the final fight with Norman Osborn, makes the decision that everything he loves will be put in danger as long as he is Spider-Man. Yet he won't stop being Spider-Man because it's not about him anymore. So he lies to her about loving her and walks away from a life of possible happiness for his responsibilities as Spider-Man. And this setup leads us perfectly into the next film in the trilogy, because after kissing Peter, she figures out that she had kissed those lips before, and it was when she kissed Spider-Man. Now she has her suspicions and this thread is continued in the next film. You must understand that the beauty of Raimi's trilogy is the simple fact that the story is woven like an interconnected spiderweb. All the characters and their story arcs links into the lives and story arcs of each other, and hopefully I can show you this pattern by the time we finish the third movie. Now, most people have complained that this movie is not comic accurate, as the villains are all connected to the personal life of the hero. I get that it can be frustrating for comic book purists, but here is the thing. This film series is first and foremost an adaptation. You still have the comics and you can read that to enjoy the separation between hero and villains. But in my experience, when you are telling a human-driven story, showing sympathy for the villain is not a demerit, but it's an actual merit. It enhances the conflict the hero experiences and the decisions they have to make to stop said villain. Because human existence is all about relationships. We are social animals after all. And conflict in relationships is what makes stories interesting. Do you seriously still not understand why even after 19 years, you were hyped to see the Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus on screen? Tell me this. Is there anything about Mysterio or the Vulture that you remember off the top of your head without rewatching the movie? My point exactly. By making them separate from the hero and his story, you also make them disposable. You can't have the good without the bad, my friend. Classic literature like Hamlet, Oedipus Rex, and Romeo and Juliet are considered classics because of this very dynamic. If I can sum it up for you, it will be this. It's those that know you best that can cause you the most harm. That's why the best of friends make the worst of enemies. I will end the first part of this video here. I will be tackling Spider-Man 2 in my next video. And I will tell you straight, That movie is one of the best films in film history, period. There is no need to add the superhero movie qualifier to it because it's that good. That also means that Sam Raimi is the second director in history to capture lightning in a bottle twice, the first being Francis Ford Coppola with the Godfather series. Till next time, friends.